Welcome to the Develop Yourself podcast, where we teach you everything you need to land your first job as a software developer by learning to develop yourself, your skills, your network, and more. I'm Brian, your host. As an engineering manager, I've seen all your resumes, and I want to go over 4 ways that you can avoid the dreaded no pile, the rejection pile on every manager's desk. Here are some of the most common issues I've seen and how to avoid them. This was inspired by a recruiter that we had visit Parsity yesterday. He spoke to the students about what are some things you can do to stand out. From a recruiter's perspective, what are some of the biggest pitfalls people make when trying to get a job? And generally, how do you stand out from the crowd? And a lot of what he said resonated with me as a hiring manager the last 3-4 years. I've been on the other side of the hiring table, looking at resumes, organizing interviews, trying to validate my assumptions on candidates, and working with HR and non-technical people to see who we're going to let through the doors and interview. And what I found isn't really surprising, but I see the same people making the exact same mistakes over and over and over and over. Now, what I'm going to tell you isn't like a bulletproof plan or anything like that, but I guarantee you that if you are making these mistakes and you don't know about them, you want to fix them. My whole goal through this show, through Parsity, through anything I do when it's giving back to the developer community is to help you avoid the mistakes that I've made or the mistakes I've seen other people make. And as you might know, not just as a manager, not just working at a few companies, that's not all the information that I've gathered. I've done around 500 or 600 calls now with developers from all around the world. I've looked at hundreds more resumes and LinkedIn profiles. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what are the common pitfalls out there. And now working with some recruiters, I see a lot of my assumptions can be validated. So when you turn in your resume, me or somebody, some engineering manager, some hiring person, they're going to get a stack of resumes to look through. They're likely going to divide them into 3 categories: no, maybe, and yes. Your goal as a junior developer is to simply avoid the no pile. Unfortunately, I've seen a whole lot of your resumes, and a lot of them end up in the maybe pile, which eventually turns into the no pile once enough strong candidates have been identified. Here's the thing. You probably look like a lot of other candidates. The maybe pile is typically where most resumes end up. Most resumes kind of look the same. It's hard to differentiate between the boot camp grad that went here and the other one that went here. I know all the boot camps, including mine, think we're doing something wildly different, saying, oh, we're going to teach you this stack or this particular thing that's going to make you significantly more hireable. Don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I don't sell Parsity like that. What I'm selling you is a personalized coding path with lots and lots of hand-holding and one-on-one attention. That is the big differentiator. Yeah, we learned some cutting-edge stuff. Great. That's not going to save you and just be the magic pill that gets you to the finish line. Sorry to burst your bubble. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but I just want to keep it as real as possible. So choose Parsity, choose whatever other boot camp you want to, but don't think that any one stack technology language thing you're going to learn is going to just make you infinitely more hireable. Not the case. So most resumes tend to have these same features. Fluffy summary, doesn't tell me much about your contributions. Passive language, it lists off stuff rather than the impact or the importance of it. And counterintuitive information organization. This one's an interesting one, which we'll dive into. And because so many of the resumes look the same, it's not that difficult to actually stand out. So step by step. Step 1, join me at Parsity. Just kidding. Step 1, the real step 1, impact over implementation. So I've seen this a lot. I built a full stack app to track personal expenses using React.js and Ruby. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a thing you did. What would be better is if you had the impact of that. So if you led development for a complex UI feature for an expense tracking app using React.js, leading to increased user satisfaction and a more intuitive UX, that is a solid approach to do that. So here's the framework that I like to use. Thing you did using technology had this impact/metric. If you're a software engineer that's already employed, finding these metrics can be a little tricky, but you should be doing that. You should say, hey, did we cut down some sort of bug report by X%? Did we increase the speed of an API by X amount of milliseconds? Now, if you're not employed, which many of you are not, and that's probably why you're listening to this, You can do what I kind of just did. It led to increased user satisfaction, intuitive UX, better developer experience. You don't have to have these really hard numbers there. And if you do have hard numbers, be prepared to back them up. I once did this. I said I cut down the latency of a query by 50% on my resume. The hiring manager decided he was going to just ream me on this thing. I really did this thing, by the way. I wasn't just making it up, but I wasn't prepared for the level of detail that he wanted about it. It was like a little byline in my resume. So if you do have metrics about things, make sure you can back them up and be prepared to talk about them. Don't lie, just save yourself the embarrassment, because I've seen people get hired off lies, and man, that's even worse, because then when you get hired off a big lie, and you come in there and they're expecting to perform at a level you're not able to, not a good experience for everybody. So you want the person that's reading this to imagine you as part of the team. You want them to see, what is the impact you're going to have there? Which sentence makes you feel more confident about inviting the candidate for an interview? The one that just built the full stack app using TypeScript and Ruby, or the one that led development on an expense tracking app, which led to better user satisfaction and intuitive UX? Which one sounds more appealing? Slight change, big difference, in my opinion. And this is not unique or like sacred knowledge here. This is a very common way to organize your stuff, but most people just don't do it. Step 2, most of you don't do this. I don't like doing this either. I've gotten a lot better about it though over the years. Brag more. It's all about you. If there's ever a time to brag, it is now. You are selling yourself. You are the product you're selling. You're selling your skills for 6 figures plus, right? Or, somewhere in that realm, somewhere among the realm of software engineering salaries, you're trying to sell yourself saying, yeah, you need to hire me because of, you're not looking for pity, right? You're not saying, oh, please hire me. I'm a boot camp grad and I just want to make a difference and give me a chance. That's not strong. Come off strong, brag. Don't say, I worked with a team of 5 people to help create a series of unit tests. Don't say that. If you did that, that's great, because that's an excellent thing to do. But what you might want to say instead is, organized and led front-end unit testing strategy to achieve 75% overall test coverage and 100% coverage of mission-critical user flows. Now, these are 2 different things I just said here. One was I worked on a team, one was organized and led. Now, if you really did organize and lead, even on a small team, say that. If you worked on a team of 5, that's okay. If you organized something, if you implemented something, use strong language to say what you did, what was the impact. Don't talk about your team. Remember, you're selling yourself, not your team. You can say you worked within a team of X number of developers, but you want to talk about what you did. Highlight the areas where you took the lead. Autonomy is what most teams desire, especially as hiring goes more local and smaller, meaning smaller startups, smaller companies are doing a lot of the hiring right now. Talk about what you did. You want to seem as less of a risk in their eyes as possible. Remember, your whole goal is to de-risk yourself, especially if you are a career changer, because if you're a career changer, you're saying, hey, look, I've changed careers. I want you to trust that I can come on your team and do well. How can you do that? Using strong language, selling yourself. Step 3, this one really sucks because I did this one so much. I thought I could get really cute with the layout. Don't get cute with the layout of your resume. You're worried about the shade of green or the formatting, and it looks really cool on your computer, I'm sure, and that shade of green is really nice, right? But here's the thing. Once it lands on my desk, it's been auto-formatted, it's been stripped, and it looks really bad. I'm not even going to try to make sense of it. There's like 25 more resumes, and I want to get to lunch, right? So if it's unformatted and I can't make heads or tails of it, it's just going to go in the no pile, straight up. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Not going to lie. Like, I'm going to ask the HR person to reach out to that one person again out of 200 and ask them to resubmit the resume. Not going to happen. Is it fair? I don't even know. Does everybody do this? Again, I don't know. Now, do you want to take a chance on that? Absolutely not. Lay out the information in a way that makes sense. Use sensible formatting. Send it as a PDF or whatever the preferred doc type is. Don't get too cute, because a lot of that formatting may just get lost. This is really important though. Lay out the information in a sensible way. I don't care what they told you. You don't have to add your most recent experience at the top. You don't have to. Who told you that? Who told you you had to do that? You don't have to do that. Do what you want to do that works best for you. Here's the layout that I see works best for most people. Summary at the top. Do not call yourself junior. Do not mention switching careers. Lead with software developer with experience doing X, Y, and Z, building beautifully crafted, blazingly fast UIs, websites, software applications, whatever. If you are switching careers from something like education or healthcare or construction or something like that, it could be interesting depending on the type of job you are applying for. For example, maybe you worked in construction for a decade and now you're working for a construction and you want to get hired at a construction tech company. That could be good to put there. Otherwise, I don't think it's a great thing to sell yourself by saying, hey, take a chance on me. That's what I'd like you to avoid. Don't say, take a chance on me. Say, hey, I'm leading off strong here. I'm a software developer. I write code. Here's why you should hire me. You want to put the skills, the most interesting stuff first. TypeScript, React, Node, Express, Mongo, SQL, whatever. Cloud certificates, if you have them, great. Don't put HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as the first things. Are they reasonable? And they're just kind of expected to have it nowadays. It's almost like a afterthought. People say, of course you already know that. Like, why wouldn't you know that? You should still probably have them on there for applicant tracking systems or for the non-tech people that are listening or looking at them, but you don't need to lead off with that. Nitpicky thing, but worth considering. Why not lead off strong? Remember, person's eyes are going through this very fast. They're not slowing down to look at every single thing here. You want to hit them real quick where it hurts. Get the good stuff in front of them first. Next, projects and experience. Lead with the most relevant area. If you have a job which includes dev experience, even if it's volunteer, list that at the top. If you don't have any experience, one, get some. Build a project for yourself, for others that solve a real world problem. I have a side project cheat sheet in the show notes at the Ultimate JS Guide you can take and will help you craft a nice side project. It includes a video, which I think is really helpful. Side projects are by far and away the best way to learn stuff and the best way to redevelop yourself. Anyway, you need to put that kind of stuff at the top. Again, if you don't have experience, get some. If you have no time to do that, put your projects first. You can put technical projects at the top. What you probably don't want to do is list, hey, I'm a current French fry chef, or I'm a current security guard, I'm a current HVAC tech. I think that's going to make people confused. It's made me confused, honestly. Sometimes when I look at a resume and I see nothing related to tech, but I see they went to a boot camp. I put the pieces together to understand, oh, this person, they're switching careers, but it's hard for me to understand what they've done that would lead me to trust that they can do this kind of work. Because the first thing at the top is like, oh, I'm a hotel manager. And then I see they went to a boot camp. They list a few relevant skills. They maybe put one technical project at the very bottom. It's a very difficult sell at that point. And it's hard when you're competing with a lot of other people to look at that and say, yeah, let's bring you in. Can't do it. Education section. This part is controversial. I don't know. It's up to you. If you're on the coasts of the United States, this is significantly less important than people think. If you have an impressive education, that's impressive, right? If you went to Stanford or UCLA or something like that, cool. Personally, I've never asked anyone for their degree or what major they had. I've rarely been asked for a college degree or what major I've had, especially in the last 5 to 7 years. In the beginning of my career, I got asked that question a little bit more. I'm also in the San Francisco Bay Area where it's just uncommon. Places like Google, Netflix, Meta, they do not ask for this. They don't care. They just want to know, can you do the thing? By the way, if you have a really low GPA from a local community college, it's probably not going to help you, right? So maybe don't put that kind of stuff there. I tend to think like this. What's going to make me look good? This is a game. I want to win the game. Not by lying, not by cheating, not by doing nefarious things. I want to win by putting my best foot forward and showing them what I want them to see. What's going to tell them, you can trust me. I'm going to come on your team, do the interview, and I'm going to pass it and do really well on this team. I want you to think that. Lastly, highlight stuff. Bold the numbers, achievements, anything you want the reader to see. Remember, no one's really reading this in great detail. You want to draw their beady little eyes to the areas where they need to see. Because remember, people are busy. There's 20, 30 resumes on their desk. They're a human. They're having a rough day. They want to go to lunch. They have a meeting in between. Just make it as easy as possible for them to see the highlights, the highlight reel. Boom. Get them to put you in that yes pile, not in that maybe pile. Last step, decrease the surface area for bias. Humans are not robots yet. They're going to do human stuff. We have known biases and unknown biases. Is it fair? No. Is it reality? Yes. I am firmly planted in reality. like I hope you are, right? You're not in the metaverse floating around out there. You are in reality. Do you really want to tell people everything about your past life, that you were a prisoner, that you even went to a boot camp? I have a kind of a shady past. Do I want to let people know that kind of stuff? Not honestly. I really don't, especially when I'm trying to meet them for the first time. I don't think I want to let them know everything about me. So I've seen people from all these backgrounds get hired, by the way. I had a guy that went to prison, work with me. He's now at a very fancy startup, worked with people from all sorts of backgrounds, from like, personal trainers to literally French fry cooks to Uber drivers, everybody. There's plenty of people at Parsity that are like come from more white collar backgrounds and plenty of people that don't. And guess what? They learn the same stuff, go career change in many of the same ways, and go on to become software engineers. So yeah, it's not impossible at all, no matter where you're coming from. Really, ultimately, no one really cares at the end of the day. They kind of want to know, what can you do for me right now? I don't really care about your backstory. The choice is ultimately yours. So like I said, I have a kind of a sordid past, which I've shared on this podcast before. I understand that it may inspire some people. And I also understand that some people will be turned off and perhaps even disturbed by it. They're going to say, you were into what, drugs and crime for a while, and you think that's okay? That's okay. They don't have to think that's okay. They could say, I don't want that kind of person to be associated with that person, even if they've changed their life. That's fine. I understand. If you've maybe done some criminal thing in your past, you're not always going to find people that think that's inspiring. You're going to find people that think that's a big deal breaker for me. So if your goal is to be hired and not be like a social media influencer, then maybe decrease the chances for bias by removing information that others might perceive as a red flag. You don't want someone to take a chance on you. You want to be a safe bet. In conclusion, don't skip this part. Ask 10 people for their opinion on your resume. You're going to get 10 different answers. So what I just shared with you is what I firmly believe will help you stand out. It's helped me. It's helped other people I've worked with. It's helping Parsity students, and it's helped people I've mentored over the years. So it's worked for me and them. Will it work for you? I don't know. I can't guarantee you that, right? You need to ultimately do what you feel the most comfortable with, and maybe A/B test your resume. A/B testing means use 2 different versions, see which one performs better, and then go all in on that. And honestly, I might even just hire somebody for $100 or so to just redo my resume. In fact, I'm doing this right now. I've done this. I'll pay somebody a few $100 to just give me the best damn resume I can, because I don't want to bumble around and learn by trial and error. If you don't have money, you will learn via time and trial and error. If you have money to blow, buy it so you can save your time and trial and error. I really sincerely hope this helps you get past that first hurdle while on the job hunt, and I'll see you around. Make sure you grab that stuff at the bottom of the show notes, the links. I have stuff in there that I guarantee is going to help you out if you are struggling with this, and I'll see you around. That'll do it for today's episode of the Develop Yourself podcast. To learn more about becoming a software engineer with us, then check out parsity.io. If you're not quite ready for that, then jump into our dev30.xyz program, which is 30 days of working on your mindset, habits, and JavaScript skills. Totally worth it. See you next week.